In the gripping new sci-fi drama Spiderhead, audiences will find themselves exploring a very different kind of penitentiary. In the ostensibly serene and warm atmosphere of the titular building, the patients are treated more like house guests than inmates. But not all is as it seems, as they're basically voluntary guinea pigs for a series of mysterious mind-altering substances. Director Joseph Kosinski has packed the film with plenty of blink and you'll miss them insider details, and he's here to help us get a gold star and find them all. The first thing audiences are bound to notice about Spiderhead is some very slick cinematography. Kosinski, who's known for his ability to seamlessly insert homages to his favorite movies into his own, seized the opportunity to pay tribute to at least one of the all-time great masterpieces with a key shot. Kosinski was inspired by Stanley Kubrick's The Shining for one of the earliest scenes in Spiderhead, when Steve Amnesty, played by Chris Hemsworth, makes his grand entrance to the facility.
That opening of watching that little VW Beetle working its way up to the Overlook Hotel deep in the mountains. I think there is probably a subconscious element of that, watching Amnesty fly his float plane to find this facility kind of clinging on the edge of one of those little islands out there.
Another nugget film fans might pick up on is the subtle connections between this film and Kosinski's other major motion picture of the moment, Top Gun: Maverick. The character Jeff, played by Miles Teller, who also stars in the 2022 Top Gun sequel, repeats an iconic Top Gun line.
Ice cold. It's the way it flies, ice cold, no mistakes.
Kosinski credits screenwriters Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick with that line, but the director did squeeze in one very intentional Top Gun tribute of his own.
In the opening scene in Jeff's bedroom, if you look closely, you'll see Rooster's F-18 model sitting on his desk.
The Spiderhead facility is a hulking monster of a building, nestled smack dab in the middle of paradise to make its presence even more disconcerting. Kosinski is a former architect, and he wanted the buildings designed to capture the essence of this unusual facility.
The architecture is brutalist, so the production designer Jeremy Hindle and I use that style of an architecture as an influence, looking at the architecture of Louis Kahn and Tadao Ando.
Audiences may also notice that Kosinski paid particular attention to ensuring that the name of Amnesty's facility had some visible meaning. The building's shape subtly hints at the body of a spider.
So if you look closely, it has 8 legs on it to support the building, and the skylights on the top almost feel like eyes on multiple eyes on a spider.
Though its exterior is foreboding, Spiderhead's interior is stunningly bright, with bold yellow accents everywhere. That particular color wasn't chosen on a whim. Kosinski and his team were very particular about finding just the right shade to throw off the audience's expectations.
You see it in the sunlight streaming through the skylights. You see it in the furniture, you see it in the kitchenette, you see it in Lizzie's clothing. It's an important color that gets at Amnesty's intention to make this facility seem friendlier and happier than the reality of what's happening in it. We spend a lot of time choosing that exact right shade for the facility, but I think it gives it a very distinct tone and feel.
If you paid close attention to Amnesty's clothes, you might notice an Easter egg reflecting that dual nature of his personality. Most of his wardrobe is meant to emit a vibe of cool charm. His thin-frame glasses, for example, are gentle and reminiscent of a bygone era.
I can't explain how or why, but both of us, the moment he put those on, we're like, that's it, that's Steve.
Meanwhile, his suits are always neutral and blend right in with the world he's created in Spiderhead.
I like the idea that Steve, because the Spiderhead is his creation and his way of dressing kind of fits into the Spiderhead vibe. So the Hugo Boss suits kind of perfectly fitted, felt like he's a part of the Spiderhead himself.
However, Amnesty's sartorial hues also tend to darken a bit when he's alone and engaging in some self-testing of his own medicines.
When he's off duty, when he's not working and he's in his room, then we went with these kind of dark reds, which give a hint at turbulent things happening underneath the surface with him.
Of course, Amnesty isn't the only one with meaningful costume stylings. If you pay close attention to the clothes of Steve's assistant Verlaine, played by Mark Paggio, there's a meaningful trend there as well.
There was a version of the script where we talked about Mark's obsession with losers. We have a Coleco t-shirt, which was a game console I had as a kid that does not exist anymore. We had Netscape. We had the Montreal Expos. It was fun for me to kind of spitball ideas of brands and logos and concepts that don't exist anymore.
Throughout Spiderhead, there are some smaller details that might initially escape your attention. For example, the Etch-a-Sketch drawings that Jeff tends to do in his room are often reflective of his own mindset.
He starts sketching Lizzie's face, the woman he's falling in love with, the sketches of fire when he thinks about his past and what happened.
One small detail that takes a little research to confirm is that some of the characters' birthdays, visible on Amnesty's remote control, reflect the actors' real-life birth years. For example, Miles Teller was born in 1987, just like his character Jeff.
I wanted to reflect who those characters were, and when it comes to picking a date, why not, get the date of the person playing the character?
Audiences will no doubt also notice that the yacht rock jams blaring throughout the Spiderhead facility are oddly comforting, with familiar tunes like Supertramp's The Logical Song and Thomas Dolby's She Blinded Me with Science.
It's kind of like the Spiderhead itself. It's about giving this facade, nothing bad can happen while yacht rock's playing. So I thought for Amnesty that was kind of a great way to create this environment and this feel. Obviously, it's a fun thing to play with as in the third act, as things really start to go off the rails, to kind of go deeper into Amnesty's music library and hear what else is in there.
Another unsettling Easter egg you'll have to look closely to find is a callback to Amnesty's own troubled history, contained on the sinister bingo card Jeff discovers in his desk.
You hear N40 and I-16 and B6, and it feels like some sort of standard naming convention, but when Jeff finds the bingo card and the gold stars, it's his first clue that Amnesty, with Amnesty, everything isn't quite what it seems, that the connection back to Amnesty's backstory is something we came up with during making the film. So if you look very closely at the bingo card, at the bottom it says Property of Friendly Pines Foster Care, which is the same place where Amnesty was dropped off by his dad as an 8-year-old kid.
My dad told me he was going to take me to summer camp. I was so excited, and he dropped me off, and it turns out it wasn't summer camp, it was foster care.
Spiderhead is an adaptation of George Saunders' short story, Escape from Spiderhead. Perhaps the most prominent Easter egg in Spiderhead is the shot where Rogan, played by Nathan Jones, is shown reading George Saunders' short story collection, 10th of December. That's not the only overt reference to Saunders' original work, however. Fans of Escape from Spiderhead may also recognize some direct quotes, like the line about Heather's unfortunate collision with Darkenflox.
Yes, she did. She's not the best.
It kind of gets to the essence of Amnesty's personality about never being exactly straight with you, trying to spin everything.
The film's final line is even more of an Easter egg, or maybe a spider egg for fans of the author, because Saunders himself wrote the narrated passage that concludes the story.
And when George saw the film, he just sent me kind of 10 versions of Jeff's final voiceover. In one of those versions, I just felt like it was a really beautiful summation of the theme of the film, and also what I liked about it was it put the film firmly in Jeff's point of view at the end, which is, I felt like, where we should end up.
Thanks for watching Netflix Film. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest exclusive videos. Plus, hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.